Hey everyone, Jose here of Yugatech, and the Galaxy A55 has arrived on the scene carrying the same price tag as last year's Galaxy A54. While it boasts a newer, more powerful Exynos chipset, the key question remains, can the Galaxy A55 5G meet or even surpass the high expectations set by its predecessor? Well, let's find out in this review. So, roll that OBB and let's get started. From the get-go, the Galaxy A55 looks almost identical to the Galaxy A54, or at least from afar. As you take a closer look, you will notice the subtle design changes that Samsung did on this phone. At the rear, you'll find the same protruding camera layout on the top of its glass-looking back panel. The difference here lies in some of the phone's color option, like the awesome lilac, which is the variant we have here. It has this sort of iridescent color effect going on, which looks really nice. And depending on how the lights hit it, you can actually see some rainbow hues on the A55's back panel. This wasn't the case with the Galaxy A54. Moving on, we have another little design change, the frame. The phone gets more evenly flat corners this time around. It also now appears to be made of stainless steel, complemented with a vertically brushed, semi-glossy finish along with the frame, which actually gave it a genuine feel of metal. And I'm actually convinced this is metal. On top of that, the volume rocker and the power button now have a bit of protrusion, featuring a distinct, smoother finish as compared to the rest of the frame, which is a brushed aluminum finish. Not to mention, the said texture blends seamlessly on the outer extreme parts of the phone, as you can see in this shot right here. Now, I must say, I appreciate this design approach as it gives the Galaxy A55 a lot more character. While it is a subtle change, having a design as meticulous as this is worth a compliment, considering this is a mid-range device too. Sandwich on both the front and back panels is Gorilla Glass Victus Plus, so I would expect it to have a tougher build quality along with scratch-resistant display. But even then, I'd still prefer to have tempered glass for that extra screen protection. Now, like before, it keeps the IP67 rating for water and dust resistance, meaning you can dunk the phone in fresh water up to a meter deep for half an hour, or at least Samsung says so. It will even hold up in a downpour. But remember, it's not meant for swimming at the beach or in the pool. Moving on, the volume rocker and the power button combo are located on the right side. At the bottom, there's a speaker grill, a USB-C port, and two tiny holes, whereas only the left hole has a microphone. At the top, there's the second microphone and the hybrid SIM card tray. And yes, it has expandable storage via microSD. This leaves nothing on the left side, but there's something missing, right? A second loudspeaker, which we'll talk about in the next segment. Initially, I thought this phone only had a mono loudspeaker since there was no speaker grill at the top. Turns out, I was wrong since the phone's earpiece doubles as a second loudspeaker, achieving equally loud stereo audio. In terms of sound quality, there is certainly strong bass coming out of both speakers, and their mids are nice too. I would say I enjoyed listening to music on this phone with its stereo loudspeakers alone. There's also a toggle on Dolby Atmos, giving me richer sound quality. Alongside the great loudspeakers, you also get above average viewing experience thanks to its 6.6-inch Super AMOLED display with support for 120Hz adaptive refresh rate. This screen can reach up to 1000 nits of peak brightness, which is decent enough for outdoor use. You also get more color coverage with support for HDR10+ and high-resolution playback with Widevine L1. I tested this on some YouTube videos with high resolution, and I'm happy to report that it can play past 1080p videos. I was able to play 2160p or Ultra HD video with no apparent lags as it jumps from auto 480p quality. Now, my one gripe with the screen is that it doesn't have perfectly even bezels all around. The Galaxy A55 isn't quite there yet as the upper bezel, especially the chin, are a bit thicker than the sides. This makes the rounded corners of the display not seamlessly blend with the phone's frame, so there's that. Going back to the rear panel, the Galaxy A55 has a triple camera system consisting of a 50-megapixel main, a 12-megapixel ultrawide, and a 5-megapixel macro lenses. The same setup as its predecessor. Under ample lighting, naturally, the images captured by this device are sharp with near-accurate color reproductions. We took it outdoors and we were able to get these photos showing the luscious greenery around Taal Volcano. The camera covers good dynamic range, but if you take a closer look when you want a pixel peep, you'll notice that the clarity isn't that great. There is noticeable noise zooming in, even in images taken in well-lit environments. Night photography is an improvement though, at least from the rear camera. Under low light, the captured photos show decent dynamic range, and interestingly, less noise. Now, videos are mid at best, but the phone can capture up to Ultra HD 4K at 30 frames per second with support for optical image stabilization. Unfortunately, the noise is still noticeable even at 4K. For the selfie shooters, this isn't its strong suit either. The device struggled to get consistent skin tones. Most of the time, the selfies lean toward warmer tones, and sometimes they get cooler tones in portrait mode. Now, you don't want to use portrait mode in low light as the phone makes the image look oversaturated and unnatural in post-processing. Overall though, the camera improvements aren't as drastic as I expected, likely due to the same lenses being used. Perhaps it's decent enough for you guys though if you just want to share it on social media casually. Software-wise, the Galaxy A55 runs One UI 6.1 skinned on top of Android 14. Fortunately, unlike previous iterations, the bloatware on this thing is a bit more bearable. It includes some Samsung essentials like the company's browser and a duplicate messages app, which now prompts users to switch to Google Messages as the default. There's also Samsung Store alongside several third-party apps like Spotify and Netflix. The software is lean enough though that allows you to uninstall some Samsung apps. What I really like about One UI 6.1 is that this device delivers a full-fledged One UI experience. I particularly enjoyed the adaptive blur on certain UI elements like the notification panel, which blurs the background, as well as the media player that benefits from a subtle audio waveform animation that I found visually appealing. It offers more lock screen customizations as well. I appreciated the phone's fluidity in animations such as navigating between apps, fingerprints, unlocking, and more. Speaking of biometrics, this model appears to use an optical fingerprint sensor. As expected, unlocking this sensor takes a fraction of a second longer compared to the ultrasonic sensors found in Samsung's flagship models. I also think the design motif of One UI stays true to Android's core design principles. It is consistent. While using the phone, I would definitely say it feels like a high-end Android device. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The Exynos 1480 chipset found inside the Galaxy A55. Samsung definitely cooked in this chipset. Based on our use and testing, it boasts significantly higher benchmarks than the Exynos 1380 on the Galaxy A54, and as it should be. Previously on Antutu, the A54 only garnered 504 935,000, while on the A55 it scored 728,872. Geekbench CPU scores on the Galaxy A55 are also relatively higher than its predecessor. The A55 got 1,143 on single core and 3,340 on multi-cores. That's a drastic jump from the A54's 893 and 2,291 scores respectively. But benchmark scores don't necessarily reflect real-world use cases. During my gaming sessions, even after several minutes of playing Asphalt 9 at high graphics and 60 frames per second, the phone did heat up slightly, but it remained manageable. Genshin Impact is playable on this phone, but at low graphic settings. One caveat is that the phone currently lacks the Ultra options when playing MLBB. And for reference, our unit comes with 8GB of RAM that can be virtually expanded by an additional 8GB. As for storage, it is limited to 128GB, but there is support for a micro SD slot, which is still a plus in my book. For connectivity, the Galaxy A55 boasts 5G capability with dual nano SIM slots. There's also an eSIM support in there, so you can slip in a micro SD slot without having to sacrifice dual SIM capabilities. Other connectivity features include Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.3, and NFC. As for the battery, the Galaxy A55 packs a 5,000 mAh cell battery paired with 25-watt fast charging. However, the charging brick isn't included in the box and it's sold separately, so it is a bit of a bummer. In terms of battery life, we obtained varying results from our tests. In PCMark, the phone managed to pump out 13 hours and 12 minutes of battery life. But using our proprietary video loop test, the phone lasted even longer at 22 hours and 46 minutes. In the settings, there is a battery protection option that extends the battery's lifespan based on the user's charging pattern. The phone also displays the remaining charging time until full charge, which is a neat feature to have. When I used a much faster 33-watt charging brick, the remaining time to full charge was an hour and 23 minutes. So, it's still decently fast. But the question remains, can the Galaxy A55 5G surpass its predecessor? Well, it's a close call. Given that the newer Exynos 1480 chipset boasts impressive benchmarks and smoother performance, the camera system remains largely unchanged. On the bright side though, the Galaxy A55 5G offers a compelling package with a gorgeous display, longer battery life, and a more refined design. And more importantly, a consistent software experience. With all its bells and whistles, the Galaxy A55 marks a noticeable leap forward for the A series. While minor setbacks like uneven bezels and mediocre cameras could see further improvement, this phone excels in core functionalities for the same price as the Galaxy A54 last year. Will this phone become one of the best sellers this 2024? Only time will tell. It will be interesting to see what Samsung brings next to the table. But what do you think of the Samsung Galaxy A55? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video or found it informative, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to our channel to watch more. Also, follow us on our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and visit yugatech.com to stay updated with the latest tech news and reviews. Once again, this is Minose, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.